Hello everyone, thank you for joining me today. As part of my English content, I'm going to give in some tutorials, as I promised to some of you before, and let you know more about how you can handle data and marketing topics. Now, in today's lesson, I'm going to teach you how you can automate your Google Analytics reporting through a basic requirement knowledge of Google spreadsheets and Google Analytics itself. Now, where does it come to your aid? It comes to your help when you want to present your colleagues, your company, or your ranking manager, and you have to do the data input of your day-to-day data recording of Google Analytics manually, entering them manually into your sheets and then providing charts for that. It takes a lot of your time, which necessarily doesn't need to be spent that way, and it can be put to use for your focus on matters that requires your productivity or your creativity. Most importantly, other than saving time, it helps you be more proficient and have less of a fatigue in data entry, so less mistakes there on your Google Sheets if you're trying to include a lot of data in. So let's dive deep into what you're going to build today, right now. So this is a view of the final and complete edition of our report. You have a 7-day report, but you can make it like a 30-day report. As you can see, we're also receiving the conversion rates completely automatically on our system. Therefore, you can make like very quick decision making based on these dynamic data, which are being updated on a daily basis, on a weekly or monthly. In order to do it, I suggest that you can build up two analytics. The first one is to get the data from the Google Analytics. You keep the raw data. It's sort of like a backend. So you use this sheet as backend, and then you showcase the data automatically on the other sheet. Now, there are a couple of tricks to achieve this. I'm going to show you that right now. You can go to add-ons, come to get add-ons to install it. So you can search for Google add-ons here, Google Analytics, install the Google Analytics add-on, and automate the processes of this on a different sheet. We have this sheet, and now we want to get the raw analytics from Google Analytics system. So you install this, that's good. We go to the add-ons, you come to the Google Analytics, and you say create a new report. This is an easy interface, but however, it's an interface that is required to build the configuration. So we go on with that. We're going to call it website traffic report. So I'm going to choose between the analytics that you already have, something like that. So we have around 102 people active on the website, as you can see. And what we want to do is to get, for example, our local data and then use the property, and you can calculate any view that you want. So you go to dimensions, you go to the source and medium. This is the chart that we want to create. And then based on these, we want to get our conversion data and then realize about the numbers of budgets that we want to handle, and then move along to get to know more about how to handle web analytics. You can choose the property that you want, or the view that you want, each of the views that you want or have access to, and then start retrieving, basically querying data in terms of metrics, in terms of dimensions, and in terms of segments. So we come here and we want to access some of the data that we already mentioned in the metrics. Things like medium and source is our dimension, or vice versa. Let's say source first and then medium. You can use these two as dimensions, and I can tell you more complex charts and more complex tables in the next episodes, but this is for the starter. So we use metrics of users, and what else do we want? Sessions. I want to get the bounce rate. I want to get, as you can see, you can get a lot of data in different size, but we're trying to go with something simple. So the average session duration is something that we're looking for. And well, that is it. Segments also gives you additional information to really filter some of the data and try to catch up more insightful data out of it. But for the sake of making this tutorial precise and understandable, for the time being, I'm going to continue with this setup so that we can make our data small and also enough for us to make some real marketing decisions. So I'm going to create a new configuration. So these are the configuration options, as you can see on the left. And on the right, you will have a configuration option to add something more to this. So each column will generate some new traffic from your analytics system. And here, for example, you have the view ID, so admin section. At the end where you find your views, and you open your view setting, and there you go, you have a view ID. And then you have 30 days. But since I want to change this, I want to make this 7 days. So it's just the start date and the end dates of your query, and then the metrics and dimensions that you want from the GA. So you use GA, source and medium, as you can see, and now we have it written here. And this, so it's basically the same thing, but how do I understand this code? You can basically pick them up. Then need to learn it from this place where you can actually see, so you can check the references of each of these items here. And there, it gives you access to just not that, but many more options. So it's a pool of data that you can retrieve back and study. So there is this. Each one of these attributes, like sessions, traffic sources, etc., has some metrics and dimensions. So once you have some of the dimensions, you might lose access to other metrics that you can, go with them. For example, if you have a session here and you have a metrics like user type, once you activate this session duration, you will no longer get a relation between these and they will be disabled. So you basically cannot use that form of data together inside your analytics on the same pattern. That's why you have to create a new one to get that data. So you basically come here, change options that you want. For example, go with the conversions. So goal conversions, as you can see, and talk a little about how you can use and optimize these data. I'm going to delete this for now because I don't want additional info. I just want for past 7 days. Go to add-on, go to analytics, and run the report. So now we're going to run the report. We're going to get the first data back. Here we go. We have this data. As you can see, we have the website traffic report, which was last run on this date. And this is the view name, and the total results found are 65 results. You can use basically the website traffic report that you've generated here. So what I'm going to say is the G is the last option that we have. We're going to go for up to 200 entries, and that's it. So count the data, and we're looking for creating a pivot table out of this. So I just set A15 to G200 and created a new sheet. I'm going to rename this sheet, and then it gives you a row and some values. So what I want for my row is I want to check the medium, as I've been putting there. So these are the mediums. I want to get some more values. So the values could be the users. The values can be sessions. values will be additional bounce rate, which is not a sum because bounce rate is an average. Because it's actually a percentage, we don't want to sum it up on top of each other. We actually summarize it and make it an average. So you summarize it by average. You just go with the defaults. And then I also want to add an additional for session duration, because this is the web traffic that we have based on the source, then the medium. But now I want to just, filter it with a pivot chart, getting only the mediums, and then the data. Sum of user for this medium, sum of sessions for this session, average of bounce rates for the bounce rate. So how do I automate this for the person that we want to share it with? Here, you're going to import this data from here. Let's import this data. But how do I get it from another source? How do I connect it? You do that by a command called import range. That's the command, import range. So the arguments that it gets is the ID of your other page. That is this page that we're working on. You can find the ID right in the URL section. After the /d, you get your ID until the next slash. The ID basically, so I just cropped it. I need that to be able to import some range of cells from there to here. So in order to do that, basically come here and say, all right, import range. That's the first argument. And the second argument is the actual range that you want to import. You put a comma. And here inside this section, you're going to say, what is the tab that you're looking to get data from? For this instance here, it's going to be medium report. I'm going to go back, just copy that name from the medium report, then return back here. As you can see, I have to fill this in. And right in between the second one, I just dropped the medium report. So in order to say that this is over, I'm putting an assertion mark saying, hey, this was the tab. Whatever was the name of the tab is this. Now from this assertion mark forward is going to be the number of key for the cell that you are, or the range that you want to import. So for me, the key to this range starts from A3 to A25. That's the key that I want to input. So I'm just going to go with this A3 to A25. And when you press that, you press enter, the data wants to load, it gives you an error. There is no problem. You just need to have access to that other sheet that you've already created. And since it's your own sheet, you can simply say allow access, and then you get all of those data right here. See, data is being filled in through our spreadsheet automatically. So you can basically put that there, and then I'm going to do the same thing with each of these columns that I have on the right, like count. So let's go do that and automate this one. I'm going to go here and say same thing, import range, use it inside a quotation mark, then again another quotation mark. So that's the command. First argument takes the ID of the sheet that you've already created here. You do the same thing. You basically go and say, all right, what do I want? I want the users, right, for each of these, and I want it to be now the same thing, the same medium report. I'm going to take that from there, put it here, press an assertion mark just to say, hey, this was the tab. Now we're going to look for B3 to same thing, right? B25. Well, in fact, you have to put more. I would say you have to put like 100, B100, because you want to bring in more entries. Because after a while, these data would go up. Be efficient, and we just want these 0.25. just continually comes and gives us those numbers, as you can see that we're importing from there. And then again, following the same pattern, what I am going to do, since you don't want to do this all the time by yourself, I'm just going to take this. So I'm just going to drag them out here just to have the same range again, and the medium report again, and I don't have to keep writing it, but just changing these. I think it's C, so if you want to go for the session, you have to say sum of the session, C, bounce rates, alright, and follow it up. So that would make it a C25. C goes and brings that for me. Time on site, which is the duration that you have. But the numbers come in a way that we don't understand it like really well. So what we're going to do in order to make this like a real duration is to go here and change the format of the cell to duration. I mean, that's how I want to be able to see it, because it's actually a duration. It's the time that they stayed on your website. So I actually change it to the duration. But what happens is that I'm getting numbers that are not unreal. These are not real numbers. And the reason is that the system works differently between the duration format and the numbers that you have through the input. Those are the seconds that you've got. So if they're like plain text, or let's say numbers like that, in some form that you cannot really relate to. And the main reason is that for this, all you need to do is to simply divide this to 86,400 seconds is the number of seconds that you have in a day. You want to divide this number for getting the time duration, and then to 86,400, and then you just pass it forward. So that's as much as the duration that you get. So in order to fix this issue here that I'm getting, what I do is that I would create a backtrack of this data. So I'm going to take this, I'm going to add another raw data sheet. I'm going to lock this for later, but I'm going to place that time on site here, and then keep that there. However, I'm not going to use this here. So I'm going to use this one instead. So right here, what I want to do is to make it number. To be whatever it used to be back to your raw data here, which I already have. Actually, it's the same import material that we used to have. So medium report, instead of D, we have to just import E, because E is the session duration that we're looking for, and these are the session duration numbers. And for that sake, I'm going to take this number, and then instead of there, I'm going to import it from here, which is actually the same number. Then make a very quick change. Divide this one to 186,400 seconds, which is the amount of seconds you have in a day. So if I do this, I get a smaller number, which if I turn into a duration, I receive the actual duration that the user has spent on the website. So I'm going to drag this down right here to this much. Take the import range and then use this ID, which is basically the ID we have for the content. Then what happens is that you get a website traffic and I want to get the bounce rate. So the bounce rate also comes from the medium report, and then I would change some of these data. I think it should be here, medium report instead of C. I think what we're getting in bounce rate is D. And alright, so we're gonna look at the column D for the bounce rate. Gonna drop it here like this. Is how it's going to be, but then you can turn that to a number and increase the decimals and get the percentage. So this data is completely automated on your screen as you can see it. What you have to do to, update it on a periodic way, for example, on a weekly basis, as we have, configured our reporting, is to simply go on to the add-ons and schedule time of the reports that we want, whether it's monthly or weekly or on a specific duration. We're going to look at that right now. So I'm going to come here and say, all right, add-ons. Then I'm coming to the add-on section of Google Analytics. And then instead of running the reports, I'm scheduling the reports. I'm going to tick this enable reports to run automatically. And then instead of choosing every day, I'm choosing every week. Then choose the day I want. So today is going to be the Monday. Then I would say, all right, midnight, 1 a.m. Then I save the scheduling of this report. And by doing that, all I have to do is to come back in a week and then see the new data that I'm receiving. And then also you'd be able to create charts on top of this. Like, for example, create something similar to this chart, which will calculate it with the chart that you have here. Then say insert, and then from there you choose the chart, which gives you a chart about this section. If you don't want to have this chart, you want to change it, you probably get to something like this, which provides you additional information on top of your data. I can put it here. So anyways, these are the charts that we're looking at, and so this is a session counts. You can also include other ones. Try to get more data into it by configuring a more complex way to enhance your raw data in your reporting by adding a comma and then adding GA, or just write a new report here doing something completely similar. You just create a new report. Then it's going to be added right here in this next column, C column, and you're gonna say, all right, what was the website traffic reporting? Now this is the conversion tracking report. So the idea behind this one is to say, hey, I want metrics. On the metrics side, I'm gonna say goal x6 starts, goal x6 value, goal x6 conversion rate, which are like individual goal conversion rates that we have. Then also I want to add another dimension here, and I want to add my session, or say, let's say not sessions but users that have been converted. So user type, user bucket, these are what. Then what I want to do is to just again create a report for the conversions and try to check on that one. So this one, as you can see, it's being built on 7 days. You have a goal ID that's like 3-1. You can add it to the first report rather than going that, because we're actually using the same configuration. I'm just going to use this and bring them back here and then delete this report. You have another conversion rate. I could add that one also as an additional section and say, all right, this one is the third goal that I have set on the conversion rate, and therefore we can actually run this one more time so that we can get a clear, good look at that. And then what we are bringing in here is the conversion ratios data that we have here. You can basically add them here inside, but you don't have it because you have not chosen that. So I200, so traffic I200. Okay, so now that we have those included, we can actually put the conversion rates of those two here. So that was for conversion rate of first goal, which is a percentage, so therefore you can actually turn numbers like this again as the other number conversion rate that we've had. Now it's here, so this is another conversion rate. It's number 1. Is 1, it means it's 100. So 1 is 100, everything else works proportionally. So we come back to our medium. Now we have G and H. I'm going to change these depending on what conversion rates have been there. Conversions login and registration. So let's just change that. So now you also have this for each medium. What was the conversion, the amount of conversion each medium had. Then finally, once we have that here, I'm going to showcase for you. Just gonna say, alright, import range like I do here. Then just simply change this to H. Then we also going to get, and also for the login, again import the range from that file, medium report, and instead of C, this time we're going to choose G because the conversion rate of our registration login is here from G1 to G100, and therefore we can get percentages coming here, and we want to know these data are not reportedly a sum, but the conversion rates are actually average. That is something that we want to create, conversion 1. So these are all averages, conversion 3 average. Now it makes sense that we have these data analytics. Now take them both percent. You can look at your mediums and then see which one of these campaigns, wherever they are, have been more effective for you in terms of converting numbers throughout the week. You can actually use it more for throughout the month, but then throughout the last 7 days. You reduce the decimal, and there you go. You have a completely automated conversion tracking report, like how much was the expenditure of your advertisement for each of these campaign clicks. Alright, going to say insert, going to say charts, and just drops off something here, which gives me registrations and logins. Kinda get the picture. You have an automated way to get engagement on the charts, and you calculate which one has had a better campaign conversion rate for you. And all of this is being basically recorded on a weekly basis and updated every week. So something like related to how many days you want to put here, but generally that's as much as it can help you with the conversion tracking, help you with other factors as well.